Yat ein hitadeshni ada hata so gisigi chishe dana ana shlendo as a llana e bashishin zilt kia ani e dashe ado unda da tedeshkishni e dashinale Valencia Edgewater e dashjine ado inda da na le tayand ite igisi nasha ada on igisi nasha ada kehashte do a kuche ada shashna albo na le pizza gaido na ho kostugo holia Shaalchina e ma ideshkishni yadashin do look at ne e dapunale Shaalchina beje in lene duwiji bitode igisi nava ako kodo Diné Studies program di kwagi ol has angi Diné bazado ol il na Kate na hannet do the neba washing donda bahanegi jo kwagi ol bi yit nilia ado hashin sogo be not ni tin gota ako kodo hashin sogo in nikil ishana edition sanu ya ado ha beniya to hash nolnin a koko kodo mission do vision igi digi ta bahadishna a kon le o hahol jijen dan de kushina khaya dan she idan do kwagi national standard de baul kha kwagi shi dan din dal nishigi digi ya kodo di vision do mission yishniki khadedi lagot a ko di kochigo di nash gishi aid ban taha kesko ege et le ko na dan no safe ado kwagi kos halon don haltin don da ko de shandin din sha ado ha one consonant do de be one halo de be binose ado ko de til kedo chikeda da yalti ko ban taha kesko one has argue ko kliki na antin salagi ban taha kesko di git au khadilya a koko kwagi nihizado nihe o is benahodil akut ego vision ilia ado anahi init ego do na kinihil naligo nihizacho ego nihe o in the dokisne ako DDG kodo anihe nke awego a kodo naga le wodaje ultraje aje na kits ada hagik at yostra kadenestra DDG na khanej ako tishi ainly nasa banahadishna ka isha bahutnishna. So the talking points that I would like to share with you today is what is the funding source of the Diné Studies program? What is the program? I'm going to share a little bit of the assessment results from this school year, and then also the survey results that we did this school year that will help develop the education plan for next school year. Ako beso na dehiki beso Dikodo Navajo Nation Johnson O'Malley funding. Akut ego ebiji akoko khane la ako ekwaki ebaka $109,104.63. Ka ish ebini ya beso echon ako ba ol khagi na kigo ekodo be buchen ilia ado undata be not the notes kishiki do in the da bein do nishiki adiki supplemental instructional supplies for the language and culture immersion history and government classrooms. So the code old kha o is in the elementary school in the ohata is kahagi don le istraja ado under da kunne nana has tada yostra don late se bida yostraja ado under the nahast eda yostraja don le na kids ada da yostraja ako ke when the ago akut ego di the nabazal na do not niki na entiendo oho le elementary don le high school je was kapit lago at ako ishi to joba hadishne ako bein do nishigi do chinichi do nishigi kwaki public kasla ado under da JOM yishne niki Johnson O'Malley yishne IEC a bakao a Indian Education Committee a kwado amado ja kwagi bas china no sehigi bas china kwagi daus khagi banana kebet so keda kwagi os khagi bikehudini anle ashanda atle belhinda has ango adao bikehudini ado ikushina khe kwagi aka anazwo kwado shado na ao bikeko adola adel ako aje stop base basan nel got ado under da ashchina na ashchina tsada le njanago ado la bazari na hol akoda ado la ande njano bananish goda lak adol yashiki stop public as lagot ako kwaki student incentives aishna student enrichment virtual opportunities. So that also gets covered under the Johnson O'Malley funding. And then this funding is overseen, as I stated, in Navajo by the Indian Education Committee. And then there's a Diné Studies education plan to guide the program. And I'll go into the education plan later on. Kwaigi Title VI Indian Education funding. That also supports the Diné Studies program. So here the total award amount is $227,724 for this school year. So the spending plan is the two teachers and then the coordinator salary, as well as the instructional supplies for the Navajo language program, as well as the immersion program, the dual credit with Diné College and the Chief Manuelito Scholarship Pathway, the ESS supports, auto preschool supports, and then support supplies to assist with cultural activities such as beading and other cultural craft activities, contractual services, professional development for teachers, students, and parent presentations. So this is Title VI funding. So let's do an overview. Diné Studies program. Excuse me. The Diné Studies program, as I indicated, is at the elementary, middle school, and high school. At the elementary level, we have the kindergarten immersion program. Ako Belganic immersion program ako inlay kwaki yuki pasat igihna bo idol double ashtraton lay istrogen 8 adnek natin ada Belgana bazad 8 go chone put ego ashna ado the Navajo literacy nigi hata istra don lay istla da yostragi sto akona ikut ego dapat nitin sad behato sad woltrato natsogi edi igising na halo ado hashin shahago behato sigi sto ado the nihe ozis ochedas anago sto ikut ego baotra adan denigi indentien akoko nele Ikwaki so hotel bakash la nile china yahanana jail next school year go a first grade immersion a could be those a cold could a coco obio na kinahano art di could go a enrichment a o china ahon ranji yahanacha Andle ultra has agot that ako elementary school to go a first quarters the gibik echo ya acha a base of not ego na kiyal na halo akot ego a ban sit the case of lay na hast a the moja a 1 quarter though so 9 weeks is 1 quarter, then there's second quarter, third quarter, and fourth quarter throughout the whole school year. So in this case, because of the pandemic and the way the schedule worked out with the CDC guidelines and the social distancing, at the elementary school, Navajo language and culture is offered through 2K kindergarten through 5th grade, but by quarters. So they only get it 1 quarter throughout the school year, 40 to 50 minutes a day, Monday through Thursday. So that's how it's organized at the elementary school at this time. The kindergarten immersion program is at 90% Diné language immersion, and that class and that immersion program started this school year. Looking at school year 2022-23, we're going to have a kindergarten immersion program and a 1st grade immersion classroom for our Diné Studies program at the elementary school. So at the middle school, what does that look like? There's a Navajo culture class and there's a Navajo language class at the middle school. Navajo culture, 7th grade is the only grade that takes Navajo culture. 8th grade is the only grade level that takes Navajo language. And again, the schedules this school year were a little bit different because of the pandemic, and considering the CDC guideline for social distancing and all of the safety requirements that is in our mitigation plan. This is all that middle school could offer at this time. So from between 45 to 50 minutes per day, Monday through Thursday, and then 30 to 35 minutes on Fridays, because half Fridays are half a days. So at the high school level, what does it look like? There's Navajo language 1, there's Navajo language 2, there's Navajo history and government. At this time, these are the only 3 courses that is available. Prior years, we've had foundations of Navajo culture, which was a dual enrollment course with Diné College. This school year, it wasn't offered. So Navajo language 1, Navajo language 2, Navajo history and government. There is 3 teachers at the, it says middle school, but high school, at the high school level, and they are in classroom every day, Monday through Thursday, 45 to 50 minutes a day. Fridays is 30 to 35 minutes per day. Okay. So with the Diné Studies program, what we have, which I'll also cover in the JOM education plan, is we have academic incentive awards that we provide to the students. So the students that are doing well in their Diné Studies courses, the teachers nominate them by quarter, every quarter, and we have a total of 42 students per quarter. Here's the breakdown. We get 6 from elementary Navajo language, 6 from Navajo culture elementary, the same for middle school, 6 from Navajo language, 6 from Navajo culture. High school, it's Navajo 1, Navajo 2, Navajo history and government by teachers. So that's why you see a larger number. And overall, it equals out to 42. So 1st quarter, 2nd quarter, 3rd quarter, and it'll be the same for 4th quarter. Some of the awards that we provide the students to encourage them to continue learning and speaking Diné language and learning more about their culture and who they are as a Diné person. We provide certificates on a quarterly basis that acknowledges that they're doing well in their classrooms. We've also support small business owners as a way to incentivize. We have this Candace Tulso, who's published some coloring books and activity books. Those will be given out to students at the elementary level. And the way this works is everyone gets a certificate that is in this area right here. So anybody who gets nominated by the teacher for the quarterly awards, they automatically get a certificate. And some students get nominated 2 times throughout the school year, some even 3 times throughout the school year. What we're doing now is we're tracking those students that get awarded every quarter, maybe 3 or 4 times. And these are the incentives that we have for those students that are being nominated 3 or more quarters. So we have the coloring books here, and then we have Healer of the Water Monster. This book will be given out to middle schoolers who have received or who have been acknowledged 3 quarters and maybe 4. They will be given this book along with a certificate. at the high school level, if any student has been awarded, again, 3 to 4 quarters, so 3 or 4 times throughout the school year, then we have the Diné Reader and Anthology of Navajo Literature that they will be given as an incentive. So I would like to move on to the Johnson O'Malley program. And with the Johnson O'Malley program, we have the the education plan for this school year. What was outlined through the surveys from last school year, and what the proposed goals and objectives that the Indian Education Committee felt was important for Diné Studies this school year. So component 1 in the education program, Indian education, academic enrichment and student enrichment, according a Navajo language, culture, and history government classes and Navajo immersion classes. In Nidi Yakwakushne, they will cut Nahas Ango a the Nebazadigi, Bain Dani Tiendo, or eating Deniki Isto. Goal 1 is to enroll 100% of elementary students in the Navajo language and culture program. 100% of freshmen at the high school level will enroll in Navajo 1. 100% of the sophomores will enroll in Navajo 2, and 30% of high school students will enroll in Navajo history and government during this school year to increase the student knowledge relating to Navajo studies to connect with their cultural identity. Again, with the pandemic and following the mitigation plan by our school district, this didn't happen exactly because, as I had mentioned before, that at the elementary level, if your child is enrolled there, they took Navajo language and culture only for 1 quarter, only for 9 weeks throughout the whole school year. And then at middle school, if you have a seventh grader at the middle school, they're in Navajo culture all year. If you have an 8th grader at the middle school, then they're in Navajo language all school year. So this, we didn't meet this goal. So goal 2 is to provide 1 Diné story night presentation per month for students starting August and ending May of the school year to increase and enhance oral language comprehension and usage. Goal 3 is to decrease student behavior issues by 10% by referring at-risk students to Diné Studies cultural teachings, activities, and enrichment during school year 2021 and 22 to improve behavior. So in the component 1, the academic enrichment and student enrichment, oops. Dude, lights automatic shut off. So the objectives is objective 1, that 5% of the elementary, middle, and high school students will master the spring, the fall and spring Diné language proficiency assessment and the oral Navajo language and culture assessment as a result of the Diné Studies program by May 29th of the school year. Akoko HAD China Vietnam Huggy Nas Ka Huggy ADDCA by HC. Auto objective 2 is to increase student participation in the Diné Stories Night by 3% through Zoom registration for Diné language and culture enhancement. Auto objective 3 is the elementary, middle, and high school will report 5% increase in positive student behavior of all students participating in enrichment field trips and counseling opportunities. We aren't able to do the enrichment field trips this school year because of the pandemic. There may be a possibility 4th quarter, but again, it all depends on the health orders and the decision by the governing school board on how to proceed with field trips. So the objective 2, if we go back here, student participation in Diné Stories Night. This is what it's referring to as far as the Diné Stories Night. This flyer went out at the beginning of the school year, and here was our lineup. I didn't indicate the presenter here, but we had Avery Denny right in here. So this was our lineup towards the end of the school year. Dinle nesh sotonle koje soche kwaaki na paalt ka pataol kaagi digi kodo haneto adolan tinigi kodo ishana sa aidan ishana dayila ado sa is Congo or not is Congo Thursday go isha DK go she sa panga DK production messenger Charlie Navajo language learning in the home issue to ego create ego never saw dinigi andle hawada ego ego she Component 2, Indian Education Committee, the goal 1, again, there's 3 goals here. This is for the Indian Education Committee itself. So the parent committee members, the IEC will promote virtual meetings, sessions through Facebook and Google email referrals, reaching out 5% of the parent and guardian population for the school year. The IEC will have 100% participation in district family involvement action team meetings during school year 21-22, and at least recruit 1 parent participant per month. Oops. The IEC will acknowledge and award a minimum of 20 students. So if you look at the incentive slide that I just covered, Joshua will speak. Didi, average 20 per month. So auto and the will acknowledge and award a minimum of 20 students, 42 students per quarter. So in first and second quarter who have mastered 5 or more DFA district formative assessments in lane that Mishko DFA in the late na adikidigi tayash ya koko 4 or more sheets and then 5 or more the class. So DFA weekly assessment. The objectives for the IEC is to improve parent and guardian participation in school-related activities, function, and programs at each school site by expanding into digital referrals through social media. So Indian Education Committee Objective 2, each IEC will recruit parents to ensure parents, guardians, and community members are aware of different activities taking place on campus. And then objective 3 is to increase student academic performance in Diné Studies by 20% in Navajo language, culture, history, and government classes on a quarterly basis. And this would be tracked through the district formative assessments at each of the sites. So component 3 of the education plan is looking at career exploration. So goal 1 is to increase students' knowledge of educational leadership and career opportunities within the Navajo Nation and surrounding communities. Goal 2 is to increase the educational experience of students in math, science, arts, language, cultural, and STEM by offering virtual offsite exploratory field trips to enhance instruction and knowledge by May 1st of each school year. Goal 3 is to increase students' knowledge in technological advances related to various occupation and higher institutions. Goal 4 is to increase students' knowledge of non-contemporary professions such as native arts and craft, agriculture, and livestock occupation for students to pursue an enhanced livelihood post-high school. So this one here speaks to those students that aren't necessarily going into maybe college or university, but could also consider maybe sustainable agriculture or maybe some type of small business that they can do with their arts and crafts. So that's what this goal is referring to. So here is the list of objectives for the career exploration part, and I'm not going to read a lot of it. I'm just going to kind of skim through this. So this one, it talks about travel for educational enrichment. Again, we didn't get to really take a lot of students anywhere on field trips, especially since was it December or was it November during the holidays? The COVID cases started to increase again, and then we went on temporary remote learning for a while. I mean, that became an option. So we were really limited in taking students on trips. Pinon accelerated middle school and high school students will have the opportunity to travel again to career-related opportunities and post-secondary institution. Post-secondary institution is just college and universities. And then 3% of PAMs and high school students will have at least one opportunity to travel to a leadership enrichment. So that's that. And then 3% of all students will have the opportunity to travel for non-traditional professions relating to native arts and craft, agriculture, livestock occupations to develop, showcase their creativity and abilities. As far as the administration component 4 of this plan is that to establish the Diné language immersion program from kindergarten and first grade by the end of 2022. And again, to create Diné language speakers. So immersion program, Bishniki 8 Agnek Achko Mountain, the Koho Sadiki, China, a Sadiki. Yachty don't let me handle the Ako Ashi if you see a laugh or a quacky a penny ya a hatya hatane ya atin hatane a cook a day or hata is hati kindergarten hit a yapahalo nalay lay hanata is happen yes in spaces ya isha so it's a first grade Goal 2 is to build the technology capacity of Diné Studies teacher for the purpose of creating Navajo language curriculum content that will develop student fluency in the Navajo language by the end of the school year. The hajoyi da handos as no okoko koto sa da bikin kenas nelo edo da digi et alna kido okut ego sa poho ak kwaki ashna. So to identify and hire a certified Navajo language immersion kindergarten teacher, I don't auto kwaki a first grade hat mean that in the thick kindergarten keep a be or next school year shaking first grade people this. Ako kwaki on this edition. Auto kwaki all 6 Diné Studies teacher will use Google Classroom. Joan they I clutching in his bahos and hachine the non-nish edish iniki a diki at albation to case it ditch a other the ahadi that hade the lek a call bilagonic at a Google Classroom. Auto a coco a cho ego kodo baal adan lenigi hotel in that Nintendo like be not to know tiki up this other upload is of it ego a Presentations will be embedded with Navajo audio and videos relating to Navajo curriculum content. Akoko Johnson O'Malley Program, Indian Education Committee, community le nahadazido e kwa agi eshineka ado aslahandatle e digi et al dinal kidgi et al bigiche. Ako kodoshido nasto kodo instrato le kodo stoshe shnahat at the dots ichnen go edotai oshido nashnzen e di kwa agi di dot is go biyag solgi e digi et al milche or highlight patient sa case be ashahna atlehi ADD ako meeting ID do passcode AD ako ad a ha le was cheed the is the ligi so it going off kasa da a da ashata ni kon late on is when I think when I just car for a kun anana the go ha just don't lay has kada a squisha Diné Studies standards big echo not the no tiki she happy a con le di kodo the never Washington do Department of Diné Education beyond down a Office of Standards Curriculum and Assessment Development OSCAD a down a d de quite be not the no tiki a di la a coho a slap nahalo obio as adat ego e catelia sahiki age and culture standards e kodo the neba os is ochadast anigo be not the note hiki the le preschool don le 12th grade aja e be khatata adon the dan kit na hanne le hanne egi ADG the history standard a pre-K don late 12th grade character building a quagi china opposite zenigi ata hayagi ado la atligi jo ADG jinago catchios ego ego a aisne character building a co in le pre-K to 12 aja standard sigi habita what you go a the nebizad be ya atiki a article standards give a had it applicated top. I don't want to da into Washington had the ya da do aja haneki do this GD sto shan laid beshma das ane ya not jahagi aja sto bahaneki ADG sto to never government standards again. Le preschool to 8 Ado betragi e le nahas edo nes na da yostragi a standards be button a konden le sat ada don le na kits ada chida stragi e arch stop nana Ado under da the quagi hosto haho soja arjigo jo e di quagi belagana ba old khatsa de nisha public school ya a jot hosdo hahozo down a arjigo sto deep echo not hiki ADG stops at hatita a arjigo a Arizona World and Native American Language Standards a world yishniki a nahasan saagit us what the na igisiki a jo na khay bizad hodo hotsi yachti bizad a that's aniki it they not the note it out as Kate's and the it out a quaggy organization of standards is linki a be hadit a coho nihe quine Native American Language Standards a bakagish kishiki is the bantaha case go a stop be hadit ego a co di quaggy nosh a sto a heat in the nahalo a good ego sto ego a ko e kot a ko dibe na the not kishigi ada height ego na baal tra dan kinigi but o chin ne not kishigi so it nen haki jo e kwaki e bishana na de shling ako kwagi ultra has angi be not the no tishigi beyond textbooks ne it also the kodo ultra nas nilgi iltonic st quote akoko ajit bigit a lay immediate bahas the enrichment do immersion which nilgi asa ba ultra enrichment in the tinigi do immersion in tinigi ek ati be not the no tishigi edi nak asko altonak nask asgo edi beyond textbook curriculum tinigi konne epitod so quinzino jo could ben business I don't lay nothing tinigi not tin ajigo height ego di quado but that was tragi not tin jigo ajigo she ha no nen a cobilagonic essential elements of instruction jo model could ego big echo that no tin double deep ne a co ado hashing so go stop with each jan it is I don't do the assessment nigi nalay hashne la jo be ischina nalka ya iketi trada ati kodo be na nes tragi da iketi tra jo lay shan da niche a ko assessment tigi in da DFA the DFA Fridays that anisha jo digi sto hajo ato niche a ko I see be a sendo le a khidi I see which na huitna edo dai khedi chine I don't kiti ka go function in that case out of the work or other latch won't skill kiti ti jo a quacky be not ka a ko digi ato jo hashed a day neta sha halon de adobe is in de jo jo hashed ato niche no ado und that the patient case with performance matters with nigi a kunne be hele dos nis a ko ado hd chinis idole a ko kwaki ya ide a ko di kwaki assessment tigi sto kwaki san kes istane another slin di kwaki ba hoshne di kwaki ultra di kwaki ultra has angi bidet igi bahashne didi ki kwagi be itnen hiki nile nike Washington that the Washington Navajo Nation cha Department of Diné Education de ko ada be itnen hiki sa hade di la a coco di ko de dabaka Al-Sahiki Ainlay Diné Language Proficiency Assessment Ishne Kodo China Benal Kahagi Hane La Shop the neck at you Yakti Kodo Ado La Nabishtish Kiddo Not Ashtobas Nan Agosh Ade Hachet Nahalnet Jo Quagi bit nen Agot A ko Leo Hata is Kagi kindergarten Shnenigi ADA Nalka 4th grade or 8th grade or 12th grade a coco did every school year put ego need to go into that they has jo hashed elia go into the at a co the art ain't here the never Washington then igit auto into the oral Navajo language and culture tests standard based assessment big echo not to know tishigi nle hata del yagi digi igisigi chine benal ka ikiti ka da ta bahozin da ta ba da zan jinon that means ka I don't that chine beda hozin and jo egi it's all not the kidigi ban sits a case so di quagi the bichin hold jishgot nle the more is kind of go Leos class. Nadine Shadow Yos Castle a DDG bandi a con lay 4th grade a Yos Kagi AD she 8th grade or 12th grade a they have to be in a Navajo, not have to be. The only students that we're going to assess is those students in the Navajo language and culture classes that either have taken the class or are still enrolled in the class. Those are the only ones that are taking this assessment. The Diné language proficiency assessment assesses the proficiency in which the students understand and speak the language. This is all students in kinder, 4th, 8th, and 12th. Whereas the oral Navajo language and culture test standard-based assessment, it's based on the 5 Diné content standards, and it's only assessed to 4th graders enrolled in Navajo language and culture or that have taken Navajo language and culture, 8th graders that are currently enrolled and taking Navajo language and culture, 12th graders that are currently enrolled in Navajo 1, 2, 3, or history and government. This is happening, this is going to start on Monday, and we're going to share a calendar with you. If you saw some of the Facebook posts from elementary school and middle school, their buildings have already made these announcements. The Navajo Nation Seal of Bilingual Proficiency is the other one I wanted to reference. This is a, it's optional for 12th, for seniors to participate. This is a very, it's looking at proficiency. So how well do the students understand and speak Navajo? If they're very at the beginning novice level, they're not, obviously they're not proficient. So students who are confident that they can understand and speak Navajo well, that feel that are proficient, those are the students that are recommended by the teachers, or they can say, I want to take that assessment. They don't necessarily have to be enrolled in Navajo language or culture classes, as long as they're proficient in the language. Yo the neck at you that do yo that the teen article not ya tio do a coco a digit a ya a quacky a deep enough a coco a did article the bay in it a gate article a the neck at it a ya tea a do in the da digi a you see a laho hash na oh I see that at the neck at Yasti. I see Yastio in later. We cut the high paraho. A deep 11 years old. Diploma now sauce and layers on the ultra of not sauce bait honey. A quaggy get the lead now. Not sauce again. A quaggy babic in it. A coho a you see a D. The quaggy ilagi a the neck at Yasti, the Lagonic at Yasti, not Kisachi Yoshi. A you see, I put ego a assessment if Nish Kako. A coco the quaggy DDG Hajoba Hodishne lane dance it down a quaggy achine 12th grade. I also quaggy lay with that just quaggy. Sa put ego that laho aging that the need is spring assessment is nanigi jo a d quaggy wash be easily ya a did oral Navajo language and culture test standard-based assessment quaggy a elementary school ligi middle school a quaggy high school a quaggy a coco did na had zidigi to nash ego last week a spring break that's a ya lay di quaggy so gi ade kunna so it's other go your class ado yes can go a that initia a coco di quaggy sabago quaggy sabahigi a kunna quaggy na way ni yaje di yos kakoda say be yos kakoda na kids ada yos kakoda do they are old has anje the nebazad na antinigi do on in so ni kit na ne ki e aje ich khao e do dai aje go os kat os khao e kwagi e the assessment ni ki le to ako kwagi e PES ka ya joy elementary school e Monday ko do ha jishin le the more this kind of do ha jish na din sa ko pa ein le khoje le na din shlaje shin sko do Aro kwagin le middle school ein le na din kha don le khoje khatin je los khasje aje shin sko de le sto Quaggy what the whole the of khaki kunna na din se Pinon le khatin aj the assessment if you down the a koko den na khachine baby ja si a ko as di gate ad neck at na atikit ya kodo chine na batikit di she adod la ape khatat agit a ko you see that ned just standards is limited on their launch and get the or ashbet housing. Already what the whole Pinon High School Navajo Nation seal of bilingual proficiency with limited jo there's a china quite get that we love a coco it's a now is teen that's what yeah a coco proficiency levels is no hane la e de nabazat ya hosen do ya konzenda e asadon late se pije adon has e don le hasat ada je in the ya konizi adon le to sit ada dona din dije at ya konizi hashin sogo e ikiti do hashin ye so go ye yasti Nadine Schladon late Hatina Kije a yet go but Ahalson a yet go ye yasti ikiti do the Hojobaslan kada late ha Hatin Hadon late this danger I see Jono neck at yasti Hodo but Kishna just not dobaslan kada sa dobaslan kada iki ya a coco Nele at sabiyaj bi izhan da nes na gun e yos khas o sa da gun e yos khasen da en le nes na alchina wa da da alkhagi na kits ada da yos khagi e dd assessment da yila ako di kwagi di shin kwagi this is a passing score this is the advanced and superior level the ya akonizi in the ikiya This is where we want our students to pass at. With the 10 students that took the assessment, 1 was in the beginning, 8 were in the novice, and then 1 was intermediate. But in order to get the bilingual seal on their diploma, they had to be in an advanced or superior proficiency. So there was a reassessment that took place. So the students were asked, do you want to retake this test? So some of them did, they said, yes, I will retake this test. And that one happened on February 17th last month. So I just wanted to share that the blue is the first attempt. The blue is the first attempt, the first time that the student took the assessment. What did it look like? How did it change? So the only 4 students retook the assessment out of the 10. So that shifted a little bit. So so this person still stayed the same score because this person actually didn't even didn't redo the assessment. But here we had actually, no. Okay, this person retook and I take that back. So, so the retake, this is what it looks like. So from here, the 8 students that scored novice, it went down to 7 because here, the first time there was only 1 student that was at the intermediate level. After the reassessment, 2 students went into the into this intermediate proficiency level. One of the students here missed getting the bilingual seal by, I think it was 4 or 5 points. So close, so close. But what happened is with the 4 students that took the that retook the assessment, they end up doing better the second time. So maybe, let's see here. So the color coding is the student. So this student, this is the first time they took it, and then they retook it and they scored higher here. So this green is the same student. The 17 is their first score, and then when they reassessed, they scored at 21. And so this student missed it just by 4 points. So that was really, it was really interesting. Okay, now let's look at another student in the yellow. When they first took this assessment, they were at a novice level. They had scored a 15. When they retook this assessment, if you go to the yellow here, they end up in the intermediate. So they were at 20, and they missed getting the bilingual seal by 5 points. So these two were very close. These 2 students, green and yellow. Oh, student red and blue, again, they still were in the novice. Student blue scored 9 the first time, and then the second time 13. Student red scored 14 the first time, but went up 2 points to 16. But they were still in the novice novice proficiency. So that's how this the bilingual seal, this is the results. And this is the official results, so I was able to share the results with everybody here. Now I want to move into JOM and Title VI surveys. We provided surveys to students that are 3rd through 5th grade, and then 6th through 12th grade, and then we did a parent community survey. These surveys were released back in January and closed in February, and they were through SurveyMonkey. I know there was, I believe as a text message, I know there was a Facebook post, and then through student emails, and we tried to collect as many surveys as we could. So these are the questions that are the results that I wanted to share. So one of the questions, the first question is, the Navajo language, culture, and history is important to me. Now, if you look at this survey, you have the parent community here, you have 3rd through 5th grade here, 6th through 8th grade, and 9th through 12th. So elementary, middle, high school, parent community. Dito Kijiki, this blue here says, yes, Navajo language, culture, and history is important to me. So, Tikwaagi, both copy to Nikisa, Diki, Donika, or Nisto, the net at Liniki, to a decision no Navajo not a kidiki, a quaki baka, a coco, Amado Oja, and no Satiki, Outdane. Adon Lay Elementary School, Dash Kaki, Laho Outdane, be the Lay Middle School, High School, so overall, language, culture, and history is important to these age categories. So the Diné Studies instruction time, how much Navajo language and culture do they want? Do the students want in each of their buildings? So right here, it's 45 minutes once a week. That's the blue here. So parent community, that's how much wanted it once a week. 3rd through 5th graders, just a little bit more. So all the blue is once a week. The red, which you see, is the way the program was structured years before the pandemic, which was 45 minutes every day. minus Fridays, but 45 to 50 minutes a day. And so that's the red. So they want to continue that. So that seems like most of the response here. From the yellow to this light, like turquoise to immersion. From the red, I should say all the way, this just basically is more time. 1.5 hours a day, 3 hours a day, 4 more hours every day, immersion. So basically 45 minutes a day to more time for Navajo language and culture instruction. So looking at the content standards, there's the Diné government standards, history standards, the character building standards, the Diné culture standards, the oral Diné language standards. Which of these subject areas or which of these standards would help either your child or the child themselves to be college and career ready? So the blue here is the most responses by parent community, elementary, middle, and high school. They want oral Diné language. So if you look at number 1, oral Diné language, if you look at this red here, that's Diné culture. They want to know culture next. And then number 3 here is Diné history. So this green line here, and again, it varies. So parent community, history, it's not really, it's not their number 3 choice. 3rd grade, maybe, but history is for middle school and high school. That's like the 3rd most important subject area that would help them to be college and career ready. Then you have character building and government. So that's how this you see this graph. Which academic or incentive program should the school offer to students to be college and career ready? If you looked at the education plan from this school year, that's based on last school year survey. Then we asked the same question. So this is just a little different. So right here is the academic incentive awards for students, youth leadership, career exploration, college campus visits, village is not cheating, STEM, Chief Manuelito, scholarship prerequisites, ACT, SAT prep, and other. So the parent community, that's all the blue here. So what they're saying, parents are like, oh, the academic awards is important. 2nd looks like STEM. 3rd looks like youth leadership. What does elementary say? Well, elementary says, oh yes, awards and incentives, right? And then it looks like career exploration and then college campus visits. So what does middle schoolers say? The yellow, it looks like college campus visits and maybe either career exploration or maybe the academic incentives. What does high school want? So it looks like they're interested in college campus visits. And then it's going to be career explorations and then Chief Manuelito right here, prerequisites. But overall, these academic incentives and awards, that's what they feel like their school should offer to motivate them to be college and career ready. Visiting those schools, visiting those universities, and then career exploration comes in number 3. So this one goes back to traditional oral storytelling. As parents, as students, do you think it's going to help? As a parent, do I think my child is going to learn from traditional oral storytelling? As a student, I'm speaking as a student, will I learn from traditional oral storytelling? So everybody says yes. Yes, and then there's just a few that said no. So this red line is cheap. So the storytelling by topics. So what are they interested in? What kind of stories do you want to hear as far as traditional oratory storytelling? And so we mark constellations, coyote stories, Navajo deities, Navajo ceremonies, arts and craft, Navajo literacy, Navajo etiquette, and other. So if you're looking, it depends which age group you are. If you're a parent community, it's going to look a little different than elementary's choices, middle school's choices, and high school choices. So overall, we're going to look at overall. That's what they're interested in. So the deities. So for next school year, when we're planning our Diné Stories night, this would be our focus. Number 2, again, this is overall. Number 2 is arts and craft. So that's number 2. Number 3 looks like so, and then these, of course, choices are going to vary. So if you look at the parents said other here, and I don't know what, I'll have to look more into that, but Navajo literacy came in number 2. Number 3 is Navajo etiquette, and then 4 is deities. So it all depends. So just know that red is elementary school, yellow is middle school, and green is high school. But overall, you're going to look at higher numbers. Technology use, digi et al. Patient seke secho ego, the nebazan, benaho aho, edo dai, jo okut ego, bata ulfaki, digi et al. Chitayosh ego, the ash bin glindas, yat ash no, ako. At oat done, Lako oat done, other query at this achieved, so the other query at the done. A court dig it out, Bashin Sake, said Chong Ego, Bash Chita, A. Out Chong Ego, Haish Igisi, Bohish Ash, Ish Igisi, Bay Ash, Indolish. A cordito Ejiki, the Quatito, Eji, Zogi, the middle school, at the high school. Elementary school, we didn't ask this question. That's why you have zeros. But for middle school and high school, if you look at the blue, they want to learn how to use the non-kashiki, the neck chihiki, iniki, non-kashiki, aid, so they want to use the Nebazat keyboard. And that is available to students through the Google Chrome extension. There is a Nebazat keyboard on there. Here are some questions. I have made positive changes in my life from what I have learned in my Diné Studies classes. And this is only students, so a lot of them said, yes, I've made some positive changes in my life, and a few said, no, I didn't make any positive changes. Diné Studies classes motivate me to do well in school. Does it motivate you to do well in school? We didn't ask that question to elementary. I'm not sure why, but there's no results here. Middle school and high school, yes. Blue is yes, and then just a little bit said no. I share what I learned with family and friends. So when they either at home or maybe when they're out of their class time, do they share the information from their Diné Studies classes with family and friends? A lot of them say yes, and then just a few said no. Okay. So that's the end of the survey results, and I just wanted to, oops, I made a mistake. School year 21-22. This is, just ignore this. We're always cutting and pasting slides. So the Diné Studies, that was an overview of this school year survey. The education plan from last school year's survey that made the education plan for this school year is what I covered. I also covered a lot of the funding portion. A few of the, just one of the assessment, the bilingual seal, that's the only one I covered because those official results came into us. The other results for the Diné language proficiency assessment, that one's still, the official results haven't come. So when that comes, I will share that with everybody again, either in a setting like this or maybe sending it out through Facebook or something. So the Diné Studies teachers, who are our teachers, your students, your children probably talk about these wonderful individuals that are listed here. Miss Stillman, she teaches Navajo culture at elementary school. Miss Kendra Gay, she teaches Navajo language at elementary school. Andrea Charlie teaches, used to teach Navajo culture, now she teaches Navajo language. Dolly Bigodi, who's a substitute, she teaches Navajo culture now. She used to teach Navajo language at middle school, but now she teaches Navajo culture. Camilla Begay at the high school, she helped us for 3 quarters in Navajo language 1 at the high school. Now we have another substitute in there. Dr. Dolly Manson, she teaches at the high school Navajo language 1 and Navajo history and government. Gloria Denny at the high school, she teaches Navajo 1 and Navajo 2. And then I am Valencia Edgewater, I'm the Diné Studies coordinator. The Johnson O'Malley Indian Education Committee, Camilla Hasteen, she is the JOM coordinator. Angela Shorthair, she is the JOM IEC chairperson. Della Begay is the JOM IEC vice chairperson. Lonnie Kla is the JOM IEC secretary. So this is the team here. Kodito Sheha, Kodo La. Jona de desh kilns and go a question hodilna nahast na kitbi to na kitla na kit asha to take a aja in hodilna. Edo dite sadna agigi chinishki go a Diné Studies at PUSD ATSA.org. Konsolchi a nihish na has a snap door late shashi or frajo. Ako na ate kidney hello kuta edo dai kodos shido tiget shado banash ado lehinzen gota kodo tiget cut dish wasn't and the end hitching